All right. Hello.
Hello, where are you at today? Looks like
I'm I'm
you're
traveling. Yeah, so I had to do this from the road today, everybody. Apologize about that, but I didn't have a choice. We got a
that's
lot of stuff going on in living soil management world, and so apparently a lot of people want living soil in the world. You believe that? It's
that's
crazy.
that's a good thing. It's a good thing, and you can help. So
Yes, sir. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Well, let's jump in. We love to hear what Josh Adams has to say at these. He's again a repeat speaker, so let's roll.
Yeah, all righty. Sounds really good. So, quick introduction. My name is Josh Adams. I've been in agriculture most of my life. Um, I don't put up with the status quo. I've always been a guy that asks why. I question the narrative sometimes. I try to understand, uh, the how behind that why, on and on. And when I started farming, I was just a kid. I was able to buy farm when I was just a kid and 25
Wait a
years
minute.
old.
You're still just a kid, Josh.
Oh, for heaven's sakes, I feel like I've lived 4 lifetimes. But I look good because I drink aronia berry juice and take a lot of minerals. But I got a little age on me now. But anyway, back when I bought that farm, I didn't understand why people use synthetic chemicals. I didn't understand it. I mean, obviously, people would see bugs and weeds growing in their fields, and so there's all these options, right? There's these panic buttons you can hit and using synthetic chemical and take care of the weeds, take care of the bugs, and then they go away. It was wonderful. But then I was standing on my lawn one day and I was getting invaded by alfalfa weevil, and I called the spray plane and it came in, and that little spray dust came floating down out of the atmosphere and puffed over on my lawn. And I was standing on my lawn and I ran out of there. It offended my senses, and I thought something is wrong with this. This can't be. Like, I don't want my daughter being around that environment now, the spray that we put on our alfalfa. And so I at that point I just started asking why. Why do we have synthetic toxins? Why are the bugs there in the first place? Why are the weeds there in the first place? If you go and walk around healthy landscapes, there's not a lot of foraging insects, is there? If you walk around healthy landscapes, there's not a ton of invasive weeds. There's not an abundance of lamb's quarter and red root and kochia and all these things. And I asked why. I thought, why is that? And so I've come to the conclusion over the last several decades that if there's living soil, meaning there's a such thing as soil sterilant, right? So that tells me that you can kill soil. So that means soil is alive. Yet our whole agricultural system, interestingly enough, is not living soil. It's dead soil. So we have dead soil management. And so with dead soil management comes the need for synthetics. Just like if somebody's hanging on to life by a thread and they're full of sickness, they have to rely on these synthetics to be able to keep them healthy. Same with the soil. So I thought, I wonder what would happen if our soil wasn't dead anymore. And so I tried to do something about it.
There you
So I'm a studier, and I realized, well, if we have living soil management, what does that mean? Hippocrates says, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and thy medicine be thy food." And I thought, isn't that interesting? Doing some further research, I found out that in 1911, one bowl of spinach had the same nutrient density as 11 bowls of spinach today. Isn't that interesting? And so, how can our food be our medicine and our medicine be our food if all the nutrients are not in our food? Interesting. Fair enough. And so I started to ask the question, can farming be done with zero chemicals and create abundance? I didn't know. I honestly didn't know if it was possible. So I went to work. I thought, well, I wonder if we could solve biological problems with biology and not chemistry. Because every agronomist and I mean, God bless these guys. They're doing what they've been taught, but the industry as a whole says, okay, let's just all work under the assumption that your soil's dead. Now let's have the conversation, right? So all these assumptions and these recommendations and yield results and all these things are based on a dead soil medium. And so I thought, well, I wonder if we can solve that. That's not a chemistry problem. That's a biological problem that most people are having. I wonder if we can solve it with biology and not chemistry, which is super, uh, I guess you could say it's controversial because, man, there's a lot of margin in chemistry. So that starts becoming a sticky wicket out there. And so, what do these synthetic chemicals and fertilizers do for us? Well, they offer convenience, simplicity, macronutrients. They absolutely serve that purpose. And then we have chemical sides that kill bugs, pests, weeds, fungus, and that delivery is quick and convenient, right? We appreciate that. And so I just, as stated on my lawn. So this picture here that you can see on my screen, this was taken from my lawn, from the spray plane that offended my senses as we're trying to kill those alfalfa weevils. Isn't that interesting? So I thought, how much does this convenience cost? And so that became a 2 decade long journey. And I started to identify. So fair enough. Maybe we get some effects that we want out of these chemicals, but what are the byproducts? So, chemical fertilizer, it's synthetically produced, right? Nature doesn't understand it. So just think of a Twinkie in your guts. Your guts don't understand Twinkie nutrition, right? And most synthetic fertilizer comes with up to 40% salt and chloride content that they use as a carrier. They use that to bind these beneficial nutrients together to be able to efficiently spread them out. Chemical pesticides, not only do they kill the pests that we don't like, they kill all of the beneficials that we do like. So I don't remember the ratio. It's like 100 to 2, 50 to 1. Good beneficial insects to bad negative insects that you're trying to kill. And there was a lady named Jenny, can't remember her last name, but she did a study. We can look it up later, but she says that chemical sides will plate the soil faster than tillage. So my no-till guys that spray all the time, I mean, we're plating our soil by spraying all the time. If you guys don't mind, I got to put my sunglasses on. The sun's coming out. Um, so these salts and sides that we're putting on that are the byproduct of our current management. If you think about that a little bit, the Romans, they salted the grounds of their enemies to instigate famine. And yet we very happily will spend millions and millions and millions of combined dollars for that same salt. Isn't that crazy? So this fertilizer, it kills our water efficiency, our biology. It ties up nutrients. It causes some crazy electrical conductivity in that ground it makes the electrical current under the soil profile too hot for certain plants. So out of the total pounds that you purchase from whatever macro fertilizer dealer is being used, many times only 5%, and 5 pounds out of every 100 actually makes it to your plant because it gets there. I call it through hydro fertilization, because water comes down, it solubilizes that nutrient, right? And takes that solution down to the root, right? And if it doesn't get there, then it doesn't get there. And because of the salt, much of what you purchase gets locked up electrically. So it's super inefficient, incredibly inefficient. But we do get nutrients that way, far be it from having no benefit at all. We do get some benefit, but we have to deal with the consequences. So, along with all the undesirable pests and sides, they kill everything. Bacteria, fungi, protozoa, beneficial soil and leaf organisms. If you think about that, the God of nature creates systems very similar. And wouldn't that be reasonable to assume? Because the God of nature is perfect. And so, if the God of nature is perfect, then I don't believe that there's a certain system for soil, then a completely different system for animals, a completely different system for plants. That doesn't make any sense. Seems to me like if there's a perfect system, that perfect system will continue through all different forms of life. And I'll be darned if that's not what happens. Isn't it interesting that the gut microbiome right there in your belly is very similar to the productive microbiome in the soil profile. It's interesting that the mineral and salt content of seawater is very similar to human blood. Is that accidental? I don't think so. So all these systems are in place. And so if we think, what is this health system anyway? How can we make people healthy, animals healthy, and soil healthy? Well, we have to understand that soil systems, they lose their ability to protect the plant from the very pests the spray is used for. So, unfortunately, this makes us reliant on toxic sides to be able to have clean fields. It also makes us reliant on these pills that the pharmacy sells us, right, to stay healthy as a being, and we're always having to inject our cattle because the feed that they have don't have enough nutrients in them either. Well, I wonder what the alternative to that would be. So I ask here, what do you do about the immune system? Have we forgotten completely about that immune system? So when I talk to farmers and they say, "Yeah, well, what I use gets results," and I say, "Fair enough, fair enough." If I gave Red Bull and Skittles to my 6-year-old, you'd see some immediate results too, man. She'd be bouncing off the walls. But is that a long-term solution for her? Just because I see results? Is that the way going forward? And a lot of farmers, they're kind of getting it. They're like, "Man, Roundup doesn't work like it used to." My I put twice the 32 down this year and I got less yield. Fair enough. That's because Mother Nature, she can't be tricked for very long, right? She's always going to end up winning, and this side and synthetic practice is not a long-term solution. And guys are seeing that, unfortunately. So Mother Nature, she's fighting back and engaging her immune system. And her time, she has ecological time. We have human time, which is completely different. And so it seems like we're one step ahead of her all the time, and she's just sitting back laughing like, "Nope, I'm coming for you. I'm going to create BT, what is that? BT corn. I'm going to create these bugs that are BT resistant. I'm going to create these weeds that are Roundup resistant. I'm gonna win. She's gonna win." And so I got tired of fighting that fight back in, 20 years ago. And so I thought, I wonder if we focus on the immune system instead of focusing on killing the symptoms. And so I came up with this: health is not the lack of sickness, but the presence of vitality. Just because there's a crop out there doesn't mean it's healthy. Just because a bug hasn't gotten to it yet doesn't mean it's not a target because it's sick. Same with people. So how do we accomplish this vitality when our crops, our bodies, and all biological organisms? Good question. So Mother Nature, she provides excellent examples of this health. She does that through healthy landscapes, diverse soils, rich in organic matter, and these things are balanced by microbiological subterranean ecosystems, along with good terrestrial animal life. Ecological results take an abundance of ecological time. So we're not on that timeline. So it seems like we have to rely on those sides and synthetics, don't we? So how can we replicate nature's health and abundance by speeding up that ecological time? So I would submit to everybody listening that technology can speed up ecological time. We can recreate the same species diversity, biological health, and nutrient profile that exists in nature. We can do that. We can identify what Mother Nature does really, really well, and we can just obey her rules without fail. Never disobey her. And it is not risky. I was talking to a farmer yesterday morning. He says, "Man, going the living soil route seems risky." And I said, "Man, it's as risky if you're a smoker and you want to quit cigarettes as throwing away your cigarettes." That's about how risky it is. Chasing health and chasing microbiologically active and diverse soils is not a risky endeavor. It's simply going back to how Mother Nature intended it from the very beginning and obeying all of her rules, not just some of them, is exactly how Mother Nature and biological life is supposed to function. And so this should not be a risky game. If we eliminate all the synthetic toxins currently used in agriculture, we'll start seeing that change while simultaneously creating production abundance. And I talk to farmers every single day all over the country, and so far, we have absolutely no problem helping them to see that biological agriculture is not only possible, it's infinitely scalable, it's fast, it's cheaper, it creates abundance, it creates nutrient density, and it needs to be a ubiquitous way that we farm in America and around the world. So what qualifies as inputs? Like we're not management by abandonment people. I don't believe in that. I believe if you want good intense results out of your crops and your animals, you have to have good intense management. You can't just sit back and rub crystals and do chants and hope things work out. No, that's ridiculous. You got to speed up ecological time by deep management and a lot of intensity, a lot of energy you need to put into fixing this deal and making it better. So to be able to be an input, I own a company called Living Soil Management, and it does exactly what it says it does. We go manage farm fields for guys, and we use inputs. Man, we use sprayers, we burn diesel in tractors. We're very intensive. We use technology, but we don't use Twinkies and Skittles agriculture. We absolutely never have and never will. And so the rules that we've identified Mother Nature demands we follow is this. These inputs, they need to be minimally processed. They need to be as close to base materials as possible. I'm talking minerals, basic compounds, minerals mined out of the earth, uh, just very, very simple stuff. And then if the byproduct of that input that we use is harmful over time, we kick it out of the program. That's not allowed. Is the input that we use beneficial to microbiology, soil microbiology? If it is, it stays in the program. If it's not, it's out. If it comes with a heavy salt index, out she goes. There's a lot of good ingredients out there that will disobey a few of these rules, like chicken litter. Shock factor. Chicken litter is an amazing macronutrient ingredient, right? But if we lay that on 5 tons an acre per year, our salt index is going to go bananas, and we're going to grow really good kochia because Mother Nature is going to send kochia to burn off that potassium and that salt, right? And so if that particular input obeys a whole bunch of rules but disobeys that one, so we don't use it. So does the input, price, and value make sense? If the steward doesn't thrive, then what else matters? Part of living soil management is that the steward that is the steward over that living soil thrives. So we have a rule at Living Soil Management that if we can't come into a property in 15x what we cost for the grower, we're out. We don't even take the job. We say no a lot. Guys will call and say, hey, can you come work for us? And I say, explain your operation. And if it doesn't seem like they're willing to do this, if it doesn't seem like they're willing to manage intensively, if it doesn't seem like they're willing to never use synthetic toxins, then we're out. Okay. Now that seems kind of harsh, but literally, if we disobey some of Mother Nature's rules and obey the rest, that's how come a lot of guys do that. A lot of organic companies do that. That's how come you don't see this explosion in biological agriculture. It takes discipline and, quite honestly, courage to obey all of Mother Nature's rules all the time. And that's the only reason why what we do is successful. I'm not the genius here. All I've done is identified very few rules that we need to follow for Mother Nature, and then I'm just stubborn enough never to break those rules. That's the only thing I bring to the table. So why does someone engage in the practice of living soil management? Interestingly enough, so being a steward is a big deal. That's why you're on this webinar right now. Everybody wants to do the best they can with what they have, and God bless you for it. Doing right by your family is the number one priority, and by your people. And number two is your land. And we have a consulting and management company. It's both deals. So we have to show up. and we have to dig in the ground, and we have our testers come and stick probes all over in the ground, and they test the water, and they roll around in it, and they just get to know your farm, right? And we understand what the deal is with it. But if having a different way of management isn't going to help your family, I'm not interested. We're out. But if it helps your family, we're very interested. We're very passionate about that. And having that land be able to increase in organic matter, uh, sidebar, working with LSM and having us do full service management on farm ground on average increases the soil organic matter over 3 years to 1.8%, higher than it was before we started. So if it's 1%, in 3 years, it'll be 2.8%. That allows your land to be able to store an additional 36,000 gallons of water per acre, right? Interestingly enough, that's a cool byproduct. So is searching outside your comfort zone worth doing? So this poor guy yesterday, man, great guy, good night, I like him. He was just scared to death. He could not see how he uses this chemical. I can't remember. It's like Valpar or something. And like people wear gas masks and they like hazmat suits and they're out there spraying, trying to grow crops with this, killing everything that they come in contact with. And he just couldn't imagine his life without that process. He's like, man, if I don't have to get in a hazmat suit to farm, how am I going to farm? This poor guy, good guy too. But it honestly, it takes a person wanting to change the way they do things. I wonder what the byproduct could be. So the sun, every single year, you guys, you're bathed in energy. Your farm is bathed in energy, just completely bathed. It provides 5,000 worth of horsepower of energy on every square foot of land. And I did some crazy math. I found one of those calculators on the internet and did all sorts of stuff. And it says that's 2.2 million gallons of diesel fuel energy per acre per year. Please don't tell me that biological farming will make us yield lower. Please don't do that. That's insulting. Please don't tell us that our resources are limited and we can't possibly get more than whatever your metrics are where you live. 80 bushels of grain, 2 ton of hay, 400 sacks of potatoes, whatever you guys do wherever you're at. I promise you that there are keys and locks all over the place in Mother Nature, and she's only willing to grow to the measure of the creation based on the resources provided. And so as living soil management, we come in and just as long as there's water, we prefer good rainfall or irrigation. We're only limited by the how intense our management becomes. And sure, the plants have a top end limit. They have a measure of their creation, right? That they can possibly bump up against. But I question if people know what those are. I would highly suggest that we don't even know what the potential yield. I'm not going to go to the university for that information. I believe Mother Nature has crazy abundance available for us if we simply deepen the aerobic zone in the soil profile, make sure that we're the grocery store underground is full of nutrients, microbiology, and all sorts of different kinds of microbiology. And then that microbiological population has an incredible amount of food sources all the time. It's wild what can happen. We've seen yields in the first year we jumped on and managed a place go up 44%. The price of the inputs we put in went down 15.6% that same year. I mean, the abundance is bananas. And so so what we do, we go on site and remote consulting. We do on site. We have a testing and analytics division. Other people do that. They're on my team, but that's their department. We do soil testing. We do sap testing to understand what's going through the xylem and phloem of the plant. We do nutrient density testing. Last year, we had potatoes that had 400% higher nutrient density than conventional potatoes. And then we actually come on site with machines and brewers and we custom build fertility programs for guys using ingredients, not products. We're not a product company. We will never be a product company. I don't like that word even. We're a management company that uses ingredients to speed up ecological time and solve your problems. And I know that it's possible because I know that the God of nature doesn't lie. I know that her systems are perfect. And I know that just as long as we obey all of her rules, abundance will follow. That's the end of my presentation.
How was that, you guys? Everybody still alive after that presentation? Let's go ahead and talk about how to get a hold of you, how to take the next step working with living soil management. Josh.
Yeah, you know what, you guys, we're taking on new clients that right now that primarily have irrigated farms. Um, in the fall and in the spring, we have the bandwidth to be able to do other kinds of farms. But if you're having a weed problem, a yield problem, your chemicals aren't working anymore, our phone is a good one to call. Go ahead and jump on our website. It's a work in progress. It's going to get better here in the next couple of weeks, but livingsoilmgmt.com is the website. Go ahead and reach out to livingsoilmgmt@gmail for an email and for testing for soil and sap. I have one of the best sap testers in America that works for us. Go ahead and hit him at shiloh.livingsoilmgmt@gmail.com. We want living soil management to be the primary form of agricultural farming management in America. We're well on our way to do that, and we're very happy to help you however we can.
Yeah, sounds good. So Shiloh's a pretty sappy guy, you're saying, huh?
He's sappy as they get, that guy. He's a sap through and through.
All
But
right. So
he knows his stuff.
yeah, quick question here for you. John asks, so would you use chemicals and limited levels while transitioning? Or let's see, transitioning, or if it isn't what nature understands, you automatically throw it out cold turkey. And
Cold
for
turkey,
context, I'm a
cold
regenerative
turkey.
grazer.
Cold
Okay.
turkey. You can only you can't be just partially pregnant, and you can't be partially a non-smoker, right? So you just, I mean, it's all or nothing. You just get rid of those synthetic chemicals, but understand that the ground is probably pretty smoked. And so we just have to call a spade a spade. If it's smoked, if our biology's dead, if our minerals are bad, then we need really intensive management. So if we have a transition period of commitment, yeah, keep on using your chemicals, because your transition period of commitment will grow plenty of weeds and invite bugs. But if you want to intensively manage differently and start today, you stop all those chemicals cold turkey. 100%.
Okay. There you go, John. John says, great. Perfect answer. Oh, I like your analogy. Can't be partially pregnant.
I've
There
never
we
met
go.
anybody that was. Well, thanks for the time, you guys. I'm going to jump back on the road here. Apologize about my mobile office, but thank you for being willing to spend some time with us today.
Yeah. Thank you, Josh. We really appreciate you being on here. Great addition to the lineup. So
Okay, you guys. Have a good one.
take care.